Hello everyone. In last session, welcome to Ekadyu's JavaScript tutorials. Okay, it's basically like boot camp. So in that series, right now we are covering we are covering JavaScript. Okay, so in the last session we were discussing about loops. So we explained you about while loop. In today's session, we continue with while loop. Okay, but some interesting program today I am going to show you. So how random function is going to work, similarly how you can use continue. Okay, so for that, first of all, I give a problem statement. Okay, so first thing is here I would like to pick pick 10 random numbers. 10 random numbers. So maximum number will be 999. So the range is 1 to 999. So I would like to pick a number from that. Second one, okay, so whatever number is picked, whether that number is a perfect number or perfect square or not, I want to find. Okay, so here using JavaScript program, we find whether the number is a perfect square or not. Okay, so what is perfect square? Let us see. If you take 225, this is a perfect square because square root of 225, how much you have? 15. Okay, similarly if you take 100, square root of it is here 10. But there are some numbers which are not perfect square, like you take 220 here. 220 is not a perfect square. Okay, not a perfect square. To make it perfect square, you can add a number 5 or you can subtract 24 from that. So when you add 5 to 220, you get 225, which is a perfect square. Or when you subtract 24 from that, you get 196, so which is nothing but again a perfect square. When you square 15, you get 225. When you square 14, you get 196. So when I enter, when it is picking from the 10 random numbers, so if it is picking 220, then in such cases it can add either 5 or it can subtract 24 from that. But here the smallest number we have to use. Okay, so 5 and 24, which one is smaller here? 5 is smaller. And what is the appropriate operation there? Addition is the appropriate operation. So when you take 220, here it has to pick 5 and it has to give a message that 5 has to be added to 220 to make it a perfect square. Okay, now the other case you take 200. So when you take 200, there are two possibilities again. You can subtract 4 and you can add 25. Okay, two possibilities are what here? 4 and 25. So either we can subtract 4 or we can add 25 to that. But which one is smaller number in that? 4 is smaller. So what is the appropriate operation there? It is subtracting 4. So in the case of 220, it is adding 5, whereas if you take 200, you need to subtract 4 there. So 4 and 25, which one is smaller in that? 4 is smaller. So what is the appropriate operation there? Subtraction. But in the case of 220, 5 and 25 you have. Which one is appropriate operation there? Adding 5 is appropriate operation. Okay. And here, what should happen in that case? If it is perfect square, like if it is 225, then nothing should happen. Okay, if the given number is a not a perfect square, then in such cases either you must be adding or subtracting. The operation is appropriate if you pick the smaller number. Okay, in the case of 220, 5 is 5 you can add, not subtracting 24. But when you take 200, you can subtract 4 from that, but you cannot add 25 there. So like that, the program has to find out which operation it has to do and whether it has to add or subtract. Okay, so it has to pick how many numbers? 10 random numbers it has to pick. Computer program has to pick 10 random numbers. Okay, then after that, using while loop, we need to find these things. With the help of while loop, we need to find. So you may be picking 100 numbers. So loop you can use whenever you have something like collection. In the case of collection, you can iterate over that. Otherwise, for single numbers, there is no point in that. Okay, if there is only one number, you can't do anything with the loop there. So therefore, here you require like an array. So array is nothing but aggregate homogeneous type of data, that is. It's basically aggregate. In the JavaScript, it's aggregate as well as it's aggregate only. It can be heterogeneous or it can be homogeneous when we talk about JavaScript. Okay, so array can contain dissimilar type of data. If you take an array, so the array need not be containing same type of data. It may contain different types of data in that. So that's the speciality of JavaScript. And one more thing, once you declare an array in the JavaScript, you can actually redimension it. You can reduce its size. Array size can be reduced, which is possible with the JavaScript. But if you look at other languages like take example C language or C++ or take Java or .NET. Okay, .NET means some C# language. In such cases, what happens? You cannot resize the array. Okay, if it is primitive array, then in such case you cannot change anything. You cannot redimension that. You can't modify the size of the array. Okay, and once you declare an array with a particular type of data, same type of data you need to keep in the array, otherwise it will not accept in those languages. But in the JavaScript, you can redimension the size. Okay, and you can add different type of data into that. So using array concept here, I'm going to do it. So array is basically, it is a collection of data. In that you can have different type of data or similar type of data. So but I want to pick here 10 random numbers into the array. Okay, 10 random numbers into the array. So over the array, I would like to iterate using while loop, and here I am going to use the index. Okay, so the array, with the help of the index, you can iterate over the particular array. So 0 means what? First element, 1 is second element, 2 is third element. Like that array works. Okay, array basically when you have lot of data. Okay, suppose array requirement, you see, you have some 1000 students in a school. Example you see. Okay, and you need to process 1000 students records. Okay, so how many variables you need to declare then? For example, you take a student, you may have roll number, you may have person name, you may have class. Okay, then each and every student may have some 6 subjects, then followed by result, and other thing is what? Grade. Okay, so subject 6, grade and result are going to be 8, roll number is going to be 9. Okay, then name is going to be 10, class is going to be 11. So if you take minimum these things, 11 into 1000, you have to declare 11,000 variables. Practically that's not possible. Okay, practically it's not possible. And one more thing, you can do that. You can, if you write program like that, it can be working only with the 1000 students. Suppose some other school has only 500, then in that case it will not be working perfect. Okay, so using array, you can declare a size. As per the size, you can basically input data. Okay, so using array in that way. So solution for that is going to be array. When you have lot of data, so using an array, what happens? You can store number of data. You have one and only one name, but each and every individual element you can access with the help of the index. So that is going to be array. Array you can declare something like this, where some x equal to, you can put something like this. So this is exactly what an array. It is empty array, we don't have anything in that. Later on you can be adding. Okay, so using add method, you can use push method basically. So using push method, you can be adding elements into that, you can push elements into that. So this way you can use the arrays. Okay, arrays you can use this way, or else you can do like this, where x equal to, where x you can declare like this. Then size also you can declare. So once, but normally declaring size is not required here. So like empty brackets you can keep. Then you can push values into that. You have push as well as pop. With the help of the push, always it adds at the end of the array. So let us now try to write a program which is somewhat interesting, I feel. Okay, so here I want to create a new HTML file. So here let me create another HTML file. It is perfect square .html. The file is here, perfect square .html. Then we have doc type declaration. After that we have HTML like this, followed by here head. This is as usual. Okay, then here it is body. Inside this we need to have here whatever numbers we picked, we need to show here. Okay, there are going to be two functions, important functions in this. One is what? Picking numbers. Okay, 10 different numbers randomly, and other thing is finding whether the numbers in that are perfect squares or not. Okay, if it's not a perfect square, then it has to find what number has to be added or subtracted, okay, to make the given number a perfect square. Okay, so if it's perfect square, nothing happens there. So if it's a perfect square, nothing is going to happen. When it's not perfect square, then it is going to find whether the given number, what number has to be added to the given number, or what number has to be subtracted from the given number. Okay, so now let us try to first of all generate some random numbers. So for that we need to write here Javascript function script. Okay, then here function generate random numbers. Okay, generate random numbers. This function is going to generate random numbers. Okay, but here what I do, I declare first of all numbers here, where nums equal to, declare like this. So this is going to be an array in the JavaScript. Okay, so this is globally declared. This is a global variable. If you declare inside the function, it becomes local. So here that's why I declared outside the scope of a function. So this is here what? A global variable. Okay, so global variable. Any function can access this data because we defined the array outside the scope of any function. So now inside this I want to pick random numbers, then I would like to keep here. Okay, so even for that we need to use a for loop. We are going to use a for loop even for that. Fine. So here what I do, I write here var num. Okay, next thing, sorry, not for loop, while loop I have to use, I'm sorry. So here var cnt equal to 0, this is called as counter, while cnt less than 10, I write a loop like this. And here I would like to pick first of all a random number, num equal to, there is a library called math, we have math.random. This is going to generate a random number. So what it exactly gives, when you move mouse pointer over it, it can give there. Okay, so here math.rand let us take. So what it gives here, okay, so it's not giving anything, just go with this math.random we take. So this is going to give a number, it is going to be in between 0 and 1, multiplied with here 1000. Okay, so this may give you here a number which may contain decimal digits. After decimal point you may have digits. So to make it integer, you have to here use some function called math dot, here it is, I go with the ceil function. So ceil may be wrong here, I can go with the floor function. Okay, so floor as well as ceil, you have two functions. Ceil is nothing but ceiling. Okay, floor, how it works, see here. Suppose I have a number 10 point like 34. When I go with the seal, it is going to give you 11, but when you go with the floor, it's going to give you 10. Okay, suppose if you write here math.floor followed by, if it is 10.34, you get a value here, how much? 10. Whereas if you go with the seal function, it will be, okay, 10.34 when you take, this will be here 11. Like this you get. Okay, so when you go with the floor you get 10, when you go with the seal you are going to get 11. That means 10.34 is lying between 10 and 11. So when you say seal, it is going to pick 11, and when you go with the floor you get the 10. Like this is going to work. Okay, so this can give you a number. This is going to give a number between 0 and 999. But if the given number is 0, then in that case we have to write like this. If num equal to 0, okay, then num equal to, here I write num plus like 5 I take. Num plus 5 I would like to take here. Okay, so if it is 0, then it's going to be here num plus 5. Then we need to save this in the array. Here write nums dot push, okay, followed by num you need to push here. So after every number picking, suppose if you want to see what value it is, just you can go with the console.log, then print here nums. So initially it shows one element, then after that second element, then third element, then fourth element, so on. It's going to give us. Okay, this is here CNT, this is. Then we need to increment here CNT plus plus. We are going to increase it by 1. So this is called as here increment operator. So this is going to increment by only one value. By unity, it's going to be incrementing. We have increment and decrement operators, plus plus, minus minus. Either it can be prefix or it can be postfix. So this is what here postfix. Okay. So before that, if you put, that's called a prefix. So here, as long as CNT is less than 10, we pick the numbers and push it to the array. And at the same time, we are going to print them here. Okay. So now, after this, let us try to print here how numbers are getting picked. You can perform some unit test here. Okay, so come to this point here, then try to call the function. Whatever function we created here, just try to invoke here. So this will pick actually numbers for us. So if you have any errors, immediately you can rectify them. It's a kind of unit testing you can think. As soon as you finish some code, we need to test it. Okay, if it's giving any errors, then you can rectify. So in the same manner, I'm trying to test it, how it's going to work. Not exactly unit test, but just like unit test, I'm using it. Okay, unit test meaning is what? You need not use any test framework. Okay, as a single unit, this entire function you are going to test it. That is called as unit testing. Okay, so unit testing means it need not be always using any automated test kind of thing or any test frameworks. So in the case of JavaScript, we have many test frameworks. Jasmine is one such thing, Chai is one such thing. With the help of that, you can do unit testing. So, but here simply I am unit testing it. Generate random numbers quickly to see whether it is working correct or not. What I expect I am getting it or not, I can find here with the help of invoking this immediately. Okay, now let me run this. This is what perfect square.html. The function is not the program is not completed. So just I created here generate random numbers function. With the help, how it is working, first I want to test. Okay, so now I come to this one. Here the folder is web technologies. Okay, inside this we have a function called we have a HTML file called perfect square. And now try to see here what we get here. So every time it is showing array 10. Okay, but why it is printing all the values? So initially What was the size we had? Every time it is showing 10 only. Let us see why it is doing like that. Okay, so here I am trying to print as soon as it is printing it. So every time what is the length I am getting, let me see here. Okay, I am going to here see it. Length, with the help of length I can find here how many elements are in the given array. Okay, how many elements are there in the array? I try to see here. So now when I refresh, so initially it says 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so it is printing here first time, second time, third time. So what number it is also you can print here. Num dot length followed by here the number picked. Okay, at the end of this, once only I want to print here that particular elements in the array. Console.log followed by here it is nums. Okay, semicolon adding is not important as far as latest Java is concerned, latest JavaScript is concerned. Automatically it can embed for us. So same thing in the Go language it happens. If you don't add it, it is going to add, the JavaScript itself is going to be adding before actually it interprets. So don't bother about that. Even if you don't add semicolon at the end of that, it may not be bothering you, but adding semicolon is always better. When somebody is going through your code, they can easily understand it's the end of the line. Otherwise there can be confusion. Okay, so console.log nums. Now once again run and see what we get here. So first one is what here, 1 625, then 2 787, 3 740, 4 465, 2 252, 5 252, 6 444, 453, 430, 337, 500. So none of them looks except 625. All others are, I think, not perfect squares except 625. 625 is not a perfect square, but others are here in this case not perfect squares. And in the bottom you can see total 10 elements you have here. All these are picked by the program itself using the random functionality. Okay, so this is working fine for us. That particular thing is working very much well. So next thing is what you need to here find next function to find out whether given number is a perfect square or not. Okay, so here write function perfect square or not. Okay, perfect square or not, it has to find, and I am passing a parameter called num here. You can pass parameters. So here it is going to find whether the given number is a perfect square or not. Fine. So perfect square or not, to that we are passing num as a parameter or argument. Both are same, argument and parameters are same, there are slight differences. Okay, so as we go as we go ahead, we'll understand later on what is the difference between parameter and argument. So here function perfect square or not, num. Then here now we need to find whether the given number is a perfect square or not. So how we do that? For that purpose we have a function called square root, sqrt function we have in the math library. With the help of that we can get. So let us write here where sqrt equal to here math dot, here you find the sqrt. So with this you can find whether the you can find the square root of the given number. Okay, next I go here and write where isqrt, this is equal to, I go with the math dot floor followed by sqrt. Okay, so like this I am going to find here. Suppose it's not a perfect square, then after decimal point you have digits. Okay, so here what I do, I just take only integral part, I don't bother about the fractional part. Now the actual logic comes into scenario here, where num here to be used in operation. Okay, where num to be used in operation. Fine. So here we are going to use it now. Where num to be used in operation. Okay, this is spelling is wrong. In operation. So I put like this here. The next step, I need to use here the condition. I use here if condition. Then I write here if sqrt minus I sqrt. Okay, if it is greater than or equal to 0.5. Okay, first of all I write this one equal to 0. So here where output str, output string. So this will be okay. So here I am just declaring it empty string. This will be here. Then here I write output str okay. So output str equal to, here I go with the template string now. Next what I use here, use a dollar symbol. Then I would like to go with the num is a perfect square. So like this I would like to make it. Okay, num is a perfect square. So output string I am adding like that. So dollar num is a perfect square. Again we go here with the else if condition. Now the condition, what I do, if it is greater than or equal to 0.5. Okay, if it is greater than or equal to 0.5, now I would be using this here num to be used in the operation equal to. So now how to find here what number has to be added? Therefore here do this I sqrt plus 1 multiplied with I sqrt plus 1, then minus we go with the num. This gives here what number has to be added. Okay, what number has to be added, it is going to give you there. So here fine. So this way it is going to give you what number has to be added exactly. Suppose it's not meeting this neither this condition or this condition, then we need to go with the else part. So now in the else part add this time. So if it is equal to 0, it's not a perfect square. Suppose it is sqrt minus I sqrt, the value between them, the difference between them, if it is greater than or equal to 0.5, you have to add a number. Otherwise you need to subtract here. Then come to this point here, see how this works. Equal to, what we do here, we take num minus, then inside this we need to now do the multiplication. So what we get here, I sqrt we are going to get here multiplied with I sqrt. So using this logic you can here find whether a number has to be added or subtracted. Okay, so you have to give message here. Then output string, this equal to what I do again. So this will be template string. Okay, so first of all, here we go with the dollar. Then num to be used in operation. We take it here. Has to be added, or else is to be added. I can write is to be added. To make, again the dollar symbol, then it is num. To make it, to make it a perfect square. Okay, so then end the backtick here. Similarly, we go here, we write is to be subtracted from. So like this, we are going to find a number has to be added or a number has to be subtracted. Okay, so this is the logic we use here. At the end, this has to be returning this value. Just write here return, followed by, here we use the, this we need to output str, we have to return. This value will be getting returned here. So this is the function. Using that, we can find whether the given number is a perfect square or not. So even let us unit test this one. So how we do that? You can come here and you can do like this, console.log. Okay, then give this, followed by try to give some number. As I was saying, 220. First of all, let us take. Okay, in the same way we try to do with the 196, 200. The next one is 225 we give. So what results we get? See, in all the three cases. Time being, I don't want to use this, so I comment it. So let us run this. This has to give us 5 has to be added. This should give 4 has to be subtracted. This has to give us, it's a perfect square. So let us run this one here now. There can be errors. One error we have here. Okay, isqrt is not defined, it says. Fine. Okay, so this must be isqrt. It was misspelled there. Now run this. So still we have some error there. IQSRT is not defined. Here it is ISQRT. ISQRT. Okay, here it is fine. In the rest of the places that is fine. And here again ISQRT this is. Okay, I think this time it should work. So still we have error. Okay, in which line it is? Line number 34. Let us go to 34 and see there. Line number 34. Okay, so it is syntax mistake, ISQRT that is. And this is also ISQRT, that is fine. Okay, this is ISQRT and here also it is ISQRT. No issue here, but here we had the issue. Okay, I hope now all the things are resolved here. So if you go with the console, okay, what messages we got? Let us see. 3 messages we have. 5 is to be added to 220 to make it perfect square. 4 is to be subtracted from 200 to make it perfect square. And 225 is a perfect square. So like this it is giving. Okay, when you take here 220 you have to add only 5. So it says here 5 has to be added. 5 is to be added to 220 to make it a perfect square. In the same way, when you go with the 200 here, it says 4 has to be subtracted. 4 is to be subtracted from 200 to make it a perfect square. And with the last one, it says it's a perfect square. It's perfect. So using this function, we are finding whether the given number is a perfect square or not. Okay. So whether it works with all cases or not, now we need to see. This is fine. So one more function let us write here. With the help of that, we find find all perfect squares. Okay, just function name I'm giving like this. Find here, find function CTION function, find all perfect squares or not, like this. This is nothing but identifier. Whatever name you want to put, you can put, but try to put meaningful names. Okay, we have to use meaningful names. We have an array on the top. So the array is here. We have declared first the array. The array is nums. It should iterate over the nums, and from that it has to find. Okay. So the array very first element is 0 and the very last element is num minus 1. Fine. So once again we use here var cnt 0. Okay. And then we write here while cnt, sorry, nct has come here, cnt less than, this time you can use the function name, array name dot length. Okay, so as long as cnt is less than the nums dot length, you can continue with this loop. Then here we try to print one by one. So console.log, okay, console.log, here we try to pass the number here. So nums followed by counter here, cnt. Initially 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, like that. It is always less than, the length of the array. So now here we can comment everything. This can be commented. So we defined here 3 individual functions. Okay, in the same manner we need to invoke them now. Let us try to invoke and see what result we get. Then here we have to call this particular thing. Okay, so now run and see the result. Once again run the page and try to see it. So it is forming infinite loop. Okay, it is forming here infinite loop for us. We have to stop it. Reason, I haven't incremented the cnt. This is the problem with the loop. Now increment it by 1 here. So these all issues you face when you develop. We have to be very, very careful, okay, while coding. Now try to see here what result you get. Developer tools. Now 142 we got. So what it says here, first thing is 142. It says 2 is to be added to 142 to make it a perfect square. When you add 2 to 142, it's 144, which is nothing but 12 squared. Similarly, you take here 998, so which is not a perfect square. When you add 26 to that, that becomes 1024, so that can be a perfect square. Okay, similarly you take here 230. So when you take 230, it is subtracting 5 here. Earlier we have taken 220, that was adding 5, but this time it's subtracting 5 from 230, and that becomes here a perfect square. And when you go with the 427, okay, to the 427, when you add 14, you get 441, which is nothing but 21 21s. And when you go with the 728, where you are adding 1, So it is 27 squared, I think. 729 is going to be 21 squared. 27 squared, sorry. Okay, then similarly 739 you have here. So when you subtract, sorry, 793, from that when you subtract 9, that is going to be here how much? 780, how much we get? 84, I think. So 784 is, I think, 28 squared or something. Okay, so that way here it is working for us. 793, from that when you subtract 13, how much we get? Again this is going to be 784. So here also 13 we are subtracting. So how much we get here? 784 we get. We are getting here 784, and here also we get 784. Both the things are going to be here. Here also this is how much? 9 we are subtracting, and here also we are subtracting 13. Both of them can give you here 784, which is nothing but 28 squared. Okay, like this it's giving you. None of them actually is a perfect square. None of them are here a perfect square. So once again run here. So this time you get here 10 is to be added to 431 to make perfect square. 441 you get. Okay, if you take 624, you can add 1, it becomes 625. So like this is giving you whether a number has to be added or number has to be subtracted from the given number, okay, to make the main number as a perfect square. So like this is working for us. Now slightly I would like to modify this, so that I'll be using the I'll be using here the continue statement. Okay, whenever it's a perfect square, I just want to return here some empty string I want to return. So I would like to return here empty string. I'm going to return here empty string whenever it is a perfect square. Okay, then here just want to check like this. Okay, so here this way I take, then I check that if condition I use here, so this equal to if it is empty string. Okay, if it is empty string, then I just want to here continue that. Continue in such case what happens? You can see here. So this statement will not be getting executed, but there can be one problem here. CNT will not be incremented. Okay, CNT is not going to be getting incremented. Okay, but if you put here, when you compare this, if you say continue, the CNT is not going to be getting incremented. Okay, so therefore what we do here, extra statement we add and we try to increase it. After incrementing, it is not going to print anything. So here just print like this. So what happens? Whenever you get empty string, that means when it's a perfect square, this will not be getting printed. So it's going to skip this particular thing and again goes to the beginning of the loop. It comes to this point. Again it checks with the next number. We are incrementing CNT plus plus. Okay. Then even here again, when this condition is not correct, you need to increment again CNT. Okay. So therefore 2 times I am incrementing it. This may not be good practice, but just I am showing how to handle scenarios. Whatever code right now I write may not be perfect code. Reason, we are learning here. So when you learn, you need to do mistakes. You cannot go with optimized code. Okay, you cannot write perfect code when you learn. So if you start writing perfect code, there is no point in that. Okay, you have to definitely make mistakes. Out of the mistakes, you have to learn that. Okay, in the learning stage, how many errors you get, that much perfection you get. How system behaves, you understand. How your coding language is going to behave, you understand well when you get mistakes. So if you don't get mistakes, nothing is going to happen. You are not going to learn much. Okay, you must get as many errors as possible. So with that, you become master in that, you become proficient. So that's the reason sometimes wantedly I am introducing some errors. Okay, and you may say you should not increment CNT plus plus, CNT 2 times. But here required that is. So if you want to make it better, you make. Okay, so like this I mean, when you get errors, you get opportunities to learn more and more to become perfect. Definitely you must get errors. So if you write error-free code, that means you haven't learned much. Initially you have to get definitely as many errors as possible. Okay, so now here try to run this. What you get, see. Okay, so this time how many it's giving us? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So 1 is actually perfect square in this. Which one is? Fifth one is a perfect square. So you cannot find here 441. If you see here anywhere, can you find 441? You are not finding here 441. So 441 we are not finding here. So reason, this is a perfect square, so therefore it has skipped this part. This part actually is skipped here. It is going to beginning of loop again. So this way you can use the continue keyword. In the last session we have seen break. Okay, but this time we are seeing here continue. So using continue, rest of the lines you can skip and you can go to the beginning of the loop again. Okay, so this is the block of the if condition. So in this block code we are incrementing CNT, then we continue if this condition is met here. When it's a perfect square, what do we get? We get empty string from that. This one is an empty string. So when you get perfect square, it's empty string. So when it's empty string, what happens? Without executing these lines, it is going to continue to beginning of the loop again. That means rest of the code is here skipped. So like this you can use the continue keyword. With the help of that we can continue. That means you can skip certain code within the function. Okay, so continue makes the control to go back to the beginning of the loop again. So it's going to skip here rest of the lines in the code. Okay, when the program is encountering this particular continue keyword. But when do you encounter continue keyword? Whenever it is equal to empty string. When do we get empty string? Whenever this is a perfect square. When it's a perfect square, you get empty string. Here we have written code that way. Okay, so sqrt minus I sqrt equal to 0. Then what do you get here? Output str equal to empty, that is. Okay, so what is exactly sqrt and what is I sqrt? Let us see here. Console.log. Even we try to print this using template string. Let us write here. Okay, so dollar followed by it is sqrt. Square root, how much you get? Similarly, okay, similarly here we take, next thing is I sqrt. Okay, so how exactly it is getting printed, you can see while this is executing the perfect square or not. Okay, even in the case of in the case of perfect square, I mean this is going to be getting printed. For all the numbers it's going to be printing. Only this part will be getting skipped. So whenever this is not whenever it's a perfect square, this part will be getting skipped. So but this is going to be shown for all the numbers. Now just try to run this and see result. Okay, so first see here 19.572 and this is also 19.57244, like this you are getting. So this is not going to be perfect square, therefore this is going to perfect square, that is 367. No, it is not. Okay, it's not actually. So we need to add 6 to that. Okay, so this is what exactly it is, sqrt, and this is here I sqrt. This is sqrt and this is going to be here I sqrt. Okay, it is integral part of this particular square root. So here it is not a perfect square, 6 is to be added. Then in the next case it is 14, 10 we need to add here. Okay, so 10 is to be subtracted from 206 in this case to make it a perfect square. Similarly, when you go with this here, this is also not a perfect square, but when you go with this here 22 22 we are getting. So when it is 22 22, what it is exactly? This is which number? Let us see here. It is 484. Okay, 22 22s are going to be 484. That is a perfect square. That's why it is not printing anything. Okay, this is what here, a perfect square. So like this you can use console.log, and with the help of that what is happening exactly you can find. So this program basically printing whether finding out whether the given number is a perfect square or not. If it's not a perfect square, then it is finding whether a number has to be added to it or whether a number has to be subtracted to that from that. Okay, so but which number? Always that should be smaller number, and operation must be appropriate there. Okay, so as I told, actually if it is 220, 5 adding is appropriate operation, but if you enter 200, subtracting 4 is appropriate operation. So here, using this logic, I found whether the given number is a perfect square or not. Okay, whether the given number is a perfect square or not, based on that we found here. So using while loop we have done it. Okay, so this is find all perfect squares or not. So here, using this while loop we could find, and here we are using the continue keyword. So whenever it's a perfect square, it is going to be continuing, it's going to here continue, otherwise it's going to print here. Okay, whether it's adding a number or subtracting a number, you can find here. So using console.log, and with this function it's finding for us. So this way you can use a while loop, and even we have seen here arrays. You can declare an array something like this, where nums equal to empty initially, it is empty, the length is going to be 0 initially, but as you keep on adding, you are going to get here the length increases, length is going to be increasing. If you see here, sorry, not here, so if you see, you can see the length how it is increasing. Initially 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, like this is printing for us. You can see here num.length followed by num. Initially we have only one element, then 2 elements, then 3 elements, then 4 elements, 5 elements, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So total 10 elements you have in that. So this way the length is getting increased for you here. So using push you are adding. Initially the length of the array is here 0. There are no elements in that. But when you work with language like C or C++, you have to declare the size before you use it. Array size you have to declare much before you use it. Okay, and once you declare the size of the array, you cannot here reduce it. Okay, you cannot reduce or you cannot add more and more to that. So array is what? Not dynamic in the C or in the C++, even in the C#. Java language also, array is not dynamic. Okay, but for dynamic arrays we use other concept called collections. So in the case of collections, that's possible. So in the JavaScript, an array is similar to collections in the other languages. Okay, so but in the case of collections in other languages, they use everything as object. So here in the JavaScript, an array is nothing but object. Even you find here what type of data it is. So when you go here and see what type of data it is, you can find console.log. Okay, so then here we write nums type is, and here go with this, then try to print the type of nums there, type of function we have, then write here nums. With that you can find what type of data it is exactly. Okay, now as soon as you start this one, it's going to print it. Okay, one error we have, spelling is wrong here, type of I should write. Okay, if it is predefined one like this, it's going to be getting highlighted in the blue color. You can see in the blue color that. So now run this. On the top, let us see here, it is object. Type of data is here object. Okay, even in the Java like array is going to be object only, but in the C, arrays are not objects. Even in the C++, arrays are not objects. Okay, they are aggregate homogeneous type of data in those languages, but here this is object type of data or reference type of data in the JavaScript. Of course, in the Java and in the C#, they are treated as objects. Arrays are nothing but objects. But primitive array, if you create an array with primitive type of data in those languages, you cannot increase the size of the array. Neither you can increase nor you can decrease. So same thing here. In the JavaScript, unlike the C# or Java arrays, Here you can increase the size of the array or you can reduce. Now let me show that you using code here. At the end of this one, what I do, I want to here remove all the elements from the nums. Here I write nums.length equal to 0. Okay, nums.length equal to 0. Using that, you can here completely make it 0. All elements from that you can remove. Okay, or else you can go like this here, nums dot followed by here okay, shift and unshift you have here. Shift we say. Okay, so what happens after the shift? Let us see here. It may not be like doing anything. Fine. Here next thing, console.log nums.length, there may not be any change, but with this definitely the size is going to be getting reduced there. Again console dot here, right, console dot, this is log, here it is nums.length. So what happens here? See in this, at the end of that we get it. So when you go with the shift, what is happening here? The length is getting reduced. Suppose you don't go with the length, here just try to print without shifting anything. So just go with this, try to print here. Here length is going to be shown like 10, but here it is 9 and here it is 0. So arrays are going to be dynamic in nature as far as JavaScript is concerned. So with JavaScript, arrays are more and more dynamic. Okay, you can add more data to that, you can remove some of the elements from that, so size is going to be reducing. You can remove all the elements from that. So when you put here equal to 0, it is going to be removing all the things. Here suppose if I print console.log followed by here I print nums. So what happened? See in this. Okay, let me execute this here. So this time it says 9, but what numbers are getting removed from that? Very first number is removed when you go with the shift. That means from the stack on the top the element is removed. Sorry, so here using shift, what is happening? We are removing element from the top. Very first element is getting removed. Okay, so like this the arrays in the JavaScript are more and more dynamic. Initially we are printing length, then we are shifting, first element is getting removed. Then similarly like console.log nums.length, suppose you want to, after shifting here, now go with the unshift. So you can add an element in the beginning, nums dot followed by unshift. Okay, so put something like 100 here. Now 100 I put here. After that I try to print again. What happens? See here, this is going to print here 10 elements. Now on the top of the array it's going to add element. It was 9, then what is happening in the beginning? It's adding. So like this is going to be, JavaScript is going to be really like dynamic. JavaScript arrays are going to be very, very dynamic. Okay, so you have to practice more and more with this. Yeah, we continue in the next session, with a few more topics. Thank you.